What's up, YTPC? This is DSG Pipe Smoker with another pipe smoking video, and today I am doing a review on Captain Earl's 10 Russians. Now, this is a very heavy English blend. It's made by the Hermit Company, but it is blended and manufactured by Cornell and Deal. For those of you who don't know, Cornell and Deal blends a lot of tobaccos for other brands besides just their own. So in addition to the hundreds of different blends that they have for themselves, they have hundreds more that they blend for other people. The Captain Earl line being one of them. So that's something to keep in mind as we go forward with this review. Like I said, heavy English blend. 75% Latakia. In addition to that, Black Cavendish, Orientals, Turkish, and Virginia. And it comes in a crumble cake. But before we get to that, let's talk about the aroma. I pretty much get nothing but Latakia. It's very smoky. Maybe a little bit of hay, but that just could be me, trying to tell myself there's other tobaccos in there besides just the Latakia. But let's pull out this crumble cake here. It's definitely, let me put this jar over but it's definitely a crumble cake. You can see the cake just kind of crumbles. It's very loosely packed. You can see it's a little spongy. So this makes cutting it up interesting. Like most other pressed tobaccos, you don't want to take a chunk off with the grain. You want to kind of go against the grain of the tobacco, and that way you get the best mixture. But that being said, what I've noticed about the Captain Earl blends, and also, the two Captain Earl blends that I got, which is 10 Russians and Honor Blend. I got this in Honor Blend. I also got, what was it again? Pirate Cake. I keep forgetting that. I got Pirate Cake, which is another Cornell and Deal pressed Latakia mixture, heavy Latakia mixture. All three of those blends, when I first got them, they were ready to smoke like as soon as you shaved off the tobacco, which is something I haven't experienced with any pressed tobacco, especially cakes. Usually you gotta give it about 20 minutes of dry time. Now that being said, what I have noticed about these blends is the closer you get to the center of the cake, the longer you have to let it dry. So it'll start out, you won't need any dry time at all. It's pretty much ready to go as soon as you slice it. Then it'll take 5 minutes, then it'll take 10-15. I'm pretty close to the center of this blend. In fact, I pretty much am. So now it's taking about, 15-20 minutes for this blend to dry out. But once it's dried out enough to smoke, and oh, by the way, if you like your tobacco to smoke a little bit on the wetter side, this might actually be perfect once it gets towards the center. Excuse me. But once it is dried out, it lights fairly easily. Doesn't stay lit too well. You will need to relight it occasionally. You will have to smoke it slow because it's such a heavy Latakia blend, and Latakia doesn't like to smoke super hot. But like I said, it lights really easily. You need to relight it a little bit though, but it will relight fairly easily, especially if you use matches. And it produces quite a bit of quite a thick layer of ash, so you will have to dump out your bowl halfway through. Those are, fairly minuscule little things you got to deal with, but the tobacco is still very, very rewarding. Um, that being said, there is a little bit of nicotine hit on the bottom, but you don't notice it until you get to the very bottom, and it's noticeable, nothing major. Um, like I said, you got to smoke it really, really slow, but this tobacco will smoke slower than normal. Not really, really slow, but a little bit slower than normal. It'll just naturally burn at a slower rate. And it's very smooth. The Latakia and the Black Cavendish go hand in hand to kind of make this a very smooth, very, well, not super chewy, but pretty high up there as far as the thickness of the smoke and how it feels in the mouth. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but speaking of the chewiness of the smoke, this tobacco is full-bodied, medium to full strength, full flavored though. With that being said, as far as chamber preferences, like most Latakia blends, it seems to like the wider bowls, so your 320s. If you have any pot or Prince shapes, it tends to like those. What I've found with narrower chambered pipes, or even pipes that, have a pretty significant taper to the bottom of them. Well, let me back up. So, I consider this to be a super heavy English blend. It is. Nightcap is something that I would consider to be borderline heavy English and uber heavy. Like, it's out of the standard English blends, it's on the heavier side for sure, but it's not the uber heavy blend that I think a lot of people claim that it is. It kind of rides that line. If you smoke 10 Russians in a tighter chambered pipe, it will bring this blend down to Dunhill Nightcap's level. And the other thing that I've noticed is it really brings out the Turkish in that blend. For some reason, it also makes the blend smoke wetter. Like, there's much more moisture that accumulates on the bottom of the bowl, which will tend to happen with this pipe tobacco, but for some reason it really happens with, conical or narrower chambers. So I would say definitely put this in your 320 if you got one, or a similarly dimensioned pipe. So, with that out of the way, flavor profile. It's a sweet, smoky flavor profile. So, unlike, other blends that have Latakia and the Black Cavendish, they'll have the smokiness will definitely be there, and the sweetness will be separate. This is a very sweetened smokiness that I get from it, so they're kind of combined in that regard. Also, it was slightly incensey. It was more incensey in the aroma. By the way, the aroma is really potent on this blend. And aroma is not something I normally recognize in a blend, but I did with this tobacco, especially as soon as you light it up. But it's a little bit smoky and very incensey with the aroma. Sort of the opposite with the initial flavors. So very heavy on the smokiness, just a little bit of incensey. But with that, I also got quite a bit of earthiness. Now, throughout the entire bowl, the Latakia pretty much dominates until you get to the very bottom. But I did get some earthiness with the sweet smokiness from the false light to about the bottom. Once I got to, I'm sorry, not the bottom, from the false light to the halfway point. Once I got to the halfway point, then the earthiness was starting to get a little bit more floral, and You could tell the Orientals were kind of playing off of whatever was making the earthiness. I'm not sure what it would be. There's probably a Oriental blend in there that's causing the earthiness, and then the Turkish is probably, I would imagine, making it more floral. Just a guess of mine, but the sweetness in the blend goes away about the halfway point. So you get a nice little transition in there, and then once you get to the bottom third, the bottom third is interesting. The Latakia pretty much goes away. The Orientals are forward. There's almost no earthiness at all. It's very floral, but it has a harshness to it too. Nothing super bad or unpleasant. That being said, it kind of sucks that it takes that left turn from being a very, very smooth, full-bodied experience to, you get some harshness in the bottom. I am not one to typically smoke all the way to the bottom, though I did do that to review this blend, and I did notice some harshness with this tobacco at the very bottom, but the rest of the bowl, again, especially if you tend not to smoke the very bottom of the pipe, is very, very pleasant, and if you like Latakia, I highly recommend this. I think this is a must for anybody who enjoys English blends, especially the heavier English blends. It's something that you pretty much have to try. It's, as of right now, it has replaced Seward's Folly as my favorite English blend. So, there you go, guys. That's been my review on Captain Earl's 10 Russians. This has been DSG Pipe Smoker with another pipe smoking video. You guys have a good day.